Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching. I'm very excited to be here and answer some of the questions in the form you completed to register for tonight, as well as tell you about a really exciting feature regarding LIVRESQ and adding video messages, video quizzes, or actually quizzes inside your video. I'm going to share my screen just to take you straight to LIVRESQ. So this is going to be like a tutorial, like our previous meetings as well. But this time, I also want to show you a bit more about how to organize your resources inside LIVRESQ now that you've been using LIVRESQ for a little bit, or even if you're just starting out, and how it sort of works, because a lot of how we use quizzes, and we can actually add not just quizzes, but other resources as well inside LIVRESQ, is related to organizing your resources all together. So far, as we've been working in these webinars with LIVRESQ, what we've done or how we've worked is sort of just created a new project straight from our homepage inside of our builder. And this works fine. I've told you, and I've mentioned this before, that there are sort of LIVRESQ is divided into three types of components, if you will: the projects, the sections, and the resources. Our projects are kind of like our lessons, if you will, or they can be little textbooks or little books. Your project basically contains a series of sections. And since we're working in HTML5, your sections are like pages. Some teachers or some e-learning creators divide them into chapters, for instance, or into actual pages. And inside of these sections, we add our resources. So normally when we start working in LIVRESQ, we create a new project. And if we click here, create new project, you can either start with a template, or you can start, or you can go to a section or a resource, or you can just create a blank new project. So if I click new project here, I'm directed automatically to my new project. And here you can see it's project number 30. That's because it's automatically named, and I've created sort of 30 new projects. We can easily rename our project from this button here. I've been showing you a lot on regard of my options over here, but I haven't really worked with this bar here. What this does is sort of help you organize the project. There seem to be a little bit of issues with my video. Just a second. If my camera is a little bit, I can also turn it off, although you won't be able to see me. But I'm here twice a month on Thursday, so you'll be able to see me another time. But I'll just keep an eye on my camera and see if anything is going on. All right. So to rename our project, because we haven't really talked about the bar here, we can just click rename here. So we'll just say trial. Okay. Here we go. And now my project's name is trial, and the platform automatically creates a section for me, which is where I work, sort of my page where I add my resources. If I double click this section, then I can edit it. Because in LIVRESQ, we use single click to select, double click to edit, and drag and drop to add resources. So this is how we've been working so far. This is what the project, the sections, and the resources means. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm sad you won't be able to see me, but since it's not working properly, perhaps it's better this way so it's not distracting. All right, so now you're only able to hear me. This is like a voice tutorial. So I'm going to be smiling more so that you can hear it in the tutorial. Okay, so I'm inside my project in section number 1, which was automatically created. And inside this section is the place where I add my resources. And this is how we've been working so far. Now, in order to return to the home page, I can just click this logo up here where it says LIVRESQ. Okay. And now I'm back to this home page. And I want to tell you a little bit more about my resources here and what else I can do on this page. Because if I click here on the next tab, this is where I can find the projects I've been working on. And I can create new folders in order to organize them better. And as you can see, I have different folders for the different sort of bigger projects that I'm working on. And inside of each of these folders, I have different projects or different resources. I can also see the projects that are shared by me. And if you have a premium account, you can share projects and work together, collaborate with other people in order to create projects together, work on the same lessons and on the same digital content. These are projects that are shared with me, sort of by other people. This is a tab for the recent projects that I've opened and worked on. If you want to use a template, because you saw at the beginning, I could have started a new project for a template. If you go on this tab, this is the list of all the currently available templates that you can use. And this is where you can also preview them. So if I select using single click a template and I go into view mode, and I've shown you sort of this little eye that allows you to preview content. If I click it, then I go into view mode and I can see what this template looks like. And I can do this for any of the templates that are available. And if I want to use the template, then I just click, after I've selected it, I just click on this button here and I can use it. And what this button actually does is create a copy of the template inside of my resources, inside of where all of my projects are. So let's just try this and go with a random template. We'll just go with this one. I click on use. It says it's duplicating, so it's creating a copy that I can access from my resources tab. We'll wait for it to duplicate a little bit. Here we go. It's already opened, and it's also my project remained open from the project that I've opened before and that we've renamed together. It's still here, it's still open, and now the copy of the template that is local is also open. I'm going to close it. I'm going to close this as well. I have this little button here, and I can go to my resources tab and I can see both my trial project and the template that I've copied. So they're all here. I can create a folder, organize them in folders. And this is not just for projects. Virtually all the resources I create can be found here. You have a sort of an organizer, an inside memory of LIVRESQ that can help you build. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this now is because in order to add quizzes to videos in LIVRESQ, you can work from the ground up. You can first create the quiz and then add it to your video. And I'll show you in a second exactly what I mean. Together, we've created the project, the trial, and we've renamed it trial. I'm going to go back to it by double-clicking it. I'm going to go inside my section. So this is empty, but you could have also started from a template, and that's a little bit easier to manage. Now I'm inside of my section, and I've mentioned the 3 gestures, and I'm gonna mention them again. It's my favorite thing to say about LIVRESQ. So you single click to select something, you double click to edit, and you drag and drop to add content. Obviously, today we're going to talk about videos. So what I want to do is take a video from my content tab and drag it inside of my project. Now I have a video. Has this little resource title, resource status bar, we call it, where you can write a title. You can edit this to tell your students what they must do with that resource. It also marks the resource as complete. For instance, if you think that they needed further instructions, if it wouldn't have been obvious that this is a video, and for some interactive resources, it's not always obvious what they are, this is the perfect place where you can add a little info, where you can tell them sort of what to do with it. I'm just going to write the title, video. The option to hide it is also here. So once you select an element, there are some properties for that element, and you can do different things on the right hand side here in the properties side of the page. So I have my video. I've renamed the status bar to video. If I want to hide the status bar, I can just click hide here. I'm just going to leave it on. And now let's see how we can edit and sort of change, because this is an automatically filled video. Every resource that you add in LIVRESQ is completed. You have a preset for it, either if it's an image or if it's a video. Basically, you have like a placeholder there to show you what your lesson will look like in the end. So to edit, we're going to double click. And now we're in video editing mode. And you always know where you are inside LIVRESQ because you have this little path written here. So I'm inside my project that's called Trial. I'm in section 1 that was automatically created for me by the platform. And I'm inside of the video editing mode. And again, on the right-hand side, I have a few properties, but the first thing I want to do, obviously, is change this video. If I click on change video, so it's not the same one, I have two options. I can either upload a video from my computer, or I can embed a video from an address. And usually we use YouTube. I think most people use YouTube to, hold on, copy link, to look at videos. And we usually share videos from YouTube. So I'm just going to paste, hold on, a YouTube link here. One sec. Just a second, so I can edit, so I can open sort of the video. Here we go. I've copied a YouTube link. I'll click apply, and now we have a 33-second video from YouTube that will play straight from our lesson, which means that the student or whoever's viewing our lesson won't have to exit the lesson and go onto YouTube. The video is embedded. But there are a few other options that can sort of give you some possibilities to decide how to play the video, what to do with it, and of course, the reason why we're here, to add questions at a certain point in the video or to add different resources inside the video. So first of all, we have the possibility to add a poster. And last 2 weeks ago, I showed you a little bit how this works. If you don't like this thumbnail picture here, you can click add poster, and you can change the image either with an image from your computer. This is the LIVRESQ preset, or a stock photo. I'm just going to do this quickly so that you see what it looks like. This was just a random stock photo that is now displayed as a thumbnail, as a cover for your video or poster. If I go back to my section, the video is now displayed like this. So the actual 33-second video from YouTube is still behind this. I can now see like the cover that I added. I'll double click again. I can delete, obviously, this cover and leave the original. Other things that I can do that are really useful is choose how this video plays inside my lesson. So I can select from here autoplay, which means that when the student gets to the video part of my lesson, the video will automatically start playing. And I can also select auto rewind, which means that once the 33 seconds are over, the video will start playing again. This is useful. It's kind of like TikTok. The video is on a loop. It really depends on what you want to do. I'm going to deselect both. Another really interesting and useful feature is the possibility to add intervals, because a lot of the times we find videos on YouTube that are really long, but we want to show our students only a little part of it. For instance, I can find like a 1 hour long documentary and I want to show my students like 10 minutes out of it that's in the middle. So here I can ask LIVRESQ, I can ask the platform the interval of the video that I want to feature in my lesson. So let's say I wanted to start from second number 10. This is obviously not a very long video, so I can't write anything from minutes or hours. And then up to second 22. So now you can see we have 12 seconds of video that are featured inside my lesson. So you won't have to stop the video yourself or go to that point. You can look at the time and just select the interval that you want featured. And another cool thing I can do is add subtitles. I can either edit them straight here. This is the interval and the text that will be displayed in that interval. And I can keep writing the subtitles, or I can import from my own computer SRT files, which again is really useful if you want to subtitle your videos. But the feature that I want to present today is keyframes. So keyframes allows you to add resources, especially quizzes, but other interactive resources as well, straight to your video at a certain time that you decide for that certain quiz. So to do this, you click on plus here, and this is where you select the moment when you want your key frame to begin. And this is the place where you select a resource. And if I click choose here, I'm directed to this resources page where I'm supposed to select a certain resource from here, but all I have are projects. So this is why I began with sort of my resources, my internal kitchen, if you will, where I have everything. And I mentioned the idea that we can also start building from the ground up. Because if I go back to my home screen, I have the possibility to add a resource. So I can start building a resource, and also from inside of my project, I go back to my section, and let's say, hold on, I need to close this and open it again. I go back to my section, and let's say I want to add a quiz. I want to build the quiz here. I don't want to start it separately and sort of save it anywhere else. I want to build the quiz that I need for this video inside of this lesson. So I'll just take a quiz. I'll drag and drop it into my section. I'll double click to edit. And here I can write whatever I want. I can edit this into, let's make it a single choice. And let's ask, what is 1 + 1? A simple question for most people, I think. We'll just write a few options here. We've selected the correct one. And now I have basically created this quiz. And I have the option to export it to the organizer. And the organizer was that bit where I had all of my resources. Now I can export the quiz. Here I can rename it. So I'm just going to call it in video quiz. Here we go. I'm going to export it into resources. So now it's there. I can check to see. Inside my resources, I have this in video quiz. Let's go back to the project. Hold on, it keeps bugging a little bit if we open too many things at once. So I have the quiz here, but it's also inside my resources. If I double click on the video again, here inside of my keyframes, I can now choose the resource that I want featured because I've just exported it straight from the lesson. So I have it inside of my resources, inside of my organizer. I'm going to select the quiz that I've just created. Click Insert. I will select, let's give it an interval, not just straight from the beginning. Let's say I want it to appear when the video reaches 5 seconds. So now, if I want to preview what I've done, I have this little view mode that I can access virtually straight from anywhere. It's usually up here in the bar. So if I'm inside the video, because I'm in the project that I've called trial. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm inside my trial section and video. If I preview this, basically I'm going to preview just the video. So let's go into view mode. And now if I play, you're not going to be able to hear it because I haven't shared sound, but it also has sound. Here we go. So now when it reached 5 seconds, I have the quiz pop up. And I can select the right answer. Because I've selected this and it's automatically selected, the student can also skip it, but you can deselect this and then they will have to answer before they move on. So let's just try to select the wrong answer. I'll select the correct answer, and now I can move on with the video by clicking continue. And basically, this is how it works. And I can add, in order to exit view mode, in order to exit view mode, I'll just click on view mode again. I can add as many keyframes, as many quizzes, and as many resources as I want here by clicking on the plus button. So right now I only have this one saved here, but I can add it again. And let's say I want it to be displayed at 7 seconds this time. I only have 12 seconds of video, so I don't have a lot of options. One of the advantages is that you can create just one. So for instance, you've just seen the quiz we've created. We used this project, we've added it, we've dragged and dropped it. I'm going to do it again very quickly, just so that I make sure that you've seen it and you know how to do it. So I'm dragging and dropping a quiz inside of my project. Then I'm double clicking to edit, because that's what you always have to do. Edit, double click to edit. Change whatever options I want here, decide what type of quiz it is, write my question, write my answers, select my answers, and so on and so forth. Let's say this is the final quiz that I want to create, and then I can export it to Organizer. I can export it inside of my resources. This is, down here is where I rename it. I export to resources, and I have it there. Obviously, if I don't need it inside of my project anymore, I can delete the entire cell that it's in. So now I'm just left with whatever I need inside of my lesson. I could delete this as well. But what I've done here is adding the same resource to my video. And that's okay, because I can edit it straight from here. So the first one, it's basically the same question twice. What is 1 + 1? And the second one is the same one. But I know that there are two because I can see them here. And in order to edit the second one so that it's different, I have this edit button. Actually, I can edit whichever one I want. So if I click edit here, then basically I'm inside of the editing. I can edit my quiz. I'm inside of the editing mode for quizzes. So let's say this time I want to ask, what is 1 + 3? My correct answer will be 4. I'll just select this one. I'll go back to my section, and let's preview what I've done. And again, this view mode, in terms of where you are, it will work for that component. Right now, I'm in section number 1. So if I click view here, I will be able to view my entire section. If I select a certain element, because there are 3 types of elements inside of a LIVRESQ section, and I'll come back to this in a second. In case you've never participated to one of these meetings before, I'll also give a brief explanation for this. But basically, if I select a certain element, and right now I've selected a row, I can also preview that. So either use the preview button up here, use it for a certain element, or use it inside of an element to view what I'm doing. And you always know where you are because you have the path here. So I'm in my project trial in section number 1 that was automatically created by the platform. And if I wanted to edit this video, I would be in video number 1. Right. So let's see what my 2 in-video questions look like. So right now I'm playing my video. Again, you can't hear it because I haven't shared sound. The first question pops up. I'm clicking continue. The second question at second number 7 pops up. Selecting the correct answer, clicking continue, and now I have both. And sort of this is how it works. And again, I can add as many. I can keep adding keyframes, but I can also add different kinds of resources. So let's say I don't really want to add just a quiz. I want to add a gallery of images. I'm going to create it from the project again. I will need to save it, of course, but I'm going to create it from the project and then export it just so that you can see these steps again. So I'll drag and drop a gallery inside here. It's created another cell. I'll double click to edit the gallery, change my images. Let's just keep the keyword book, and we'll select 2 pictures of books. So in order to change an image, you can either upload or select a stock photo. I've clicked the option for selecting the stock photo, change the first image from the preset. I'm going to do the same with the second image in my gallery. Let's select something that's roughly the same size. I've clicked on that button to use it. I don't need a third image. I'm okay with just 2 images. So I can remove the element. And again, because I've already created this gallery resource, we're just going to rename it here if you want, or we can name it as we save it. I'm now going to export it to the organizer. It's the same option. I can rename it here, gallery in video. I'll export it. So now it's saving inside of my resources. If I go back to the section, I double click the video, I can add another keyframe, and that keyframe, instead of being a quiz, can be a gallery. So I can show my students, even inside of a YouTube video, because you saw me add the link. This is a YouTube video that's posted, well, on our page, but you can do that with everything. You can add different things that make the video interactive. So I'm going to click on the plus sign. Let's say I want to add this gallery at second number 9. Of course, it would work different for other videos. I'm going to select choose here, and I'm going to select insert my gallery inside of the video. And now let's preview. Let's use the view mode to preview what this video now looks like. I'll play the video. The first question pops up at second number 5. We can click continue. Then the second question. And finally, I have my gallery, which I can either skip or look at all the photos, then click skip or continue. And this is it. Basically, you can add whatever resource you want. The only thing is that you will need to save that resource. So if I go back to my resources here, you'll see that both of my resources are saved separately. And you can create them inside a project and export them like I've done, or just create a resource and decide from the get-go what resource you want to create. It's whatever works for you, and basically LIVRESQ is built for, we have multiple ways of doing things just because we've discovered that people do things in different ways, but we want to make it intuitive and easy for whatever your style of working is. And we've had teachers that build projects from the ground up, so that start building the resources, adding the text, and then combining those resources into a project. I personally think it's simpler to work inside a project and keep adding resources. And for this, just for this particular type of in-video questions or in-video resource, this is where you need to create the resource sort of separately, or create it and export it, add it back to the video by using this function here. And the advantage, again, is that once you've added your resource, whether it's a quiz or a gallery, to your project, then you can edit it straight from here as well, just by clicking edit mode. And now we're in editing for the gallery. I can, for instance, add another picture. If I just don't want the 2 pictures that I've added already, I can add another one using the add new element button, change the image, go to stock photo, or upload a photo from my computer. I'll delete this again. Another thing that I said that I will tell you about is the 3 components sort of a LIVRESQ page. So how we arrange things in order to make them responsive. And that's why, so you'll find it in some of the older videos, but I can see that we have on Facebook as well, some of the people that haven't watched us before. So I'm just going to go through this very quickly again. So all of our designs are responsive, which means that they can be accessed and that they will display really well regardless of device. You can actually preview what it looks like on a different device. So here we are on a dynamic screen, on a bigger screen, but we can simulate a tablet, a phone, or a rotated phone, a phone in landscape mode. And if we go to a phone, you'll see that they automatically resize. So as you're creating e-learning content, as you're creating a lesson for your students, you don't need to worry about what it will look like. You don't need to worry about resizing everything because the platform does this automatically. And in order to do this efficiently, there are three sort of elements in which we organize, or the platform actually organizes the content. And these are rows, cells, and the actual resources. So the place where we put a resource is called a cell. And cells are inside rows. We can have as many rows, you can have as many rows as you want inside of a section, but all the rows will be one after the other. So they will sort of be arranged vertically. In the structure tab here, I can add another row with 1, 2, or 3 cells. So if I just drag and drop a row here, I can place it wherever I want. It's basically the gray rectangle here. So I have multiple rows. And inside the row, I have my cell. And I can add a row with 3 cells. You can see the cells will come right after the other, like columns on a table. And I can have as many columns as I want inside a row. I can duplicate them, because if I select an element, what's really important to look at is also this little menu that pops up here, which allows me to preview, to look sort of at what part of what it is, to sort of move it around, to duplicate it, or to delete it. So I could just delete this row very easily, or I can select a cell, delete, or duplicate the cell as well. And if we duplicate something, it will, for instance, a cell, it will duplicate what's inside it as well. So if I click on the cell that my video is located in, if I duplicate it, the entire thing is duplicated. It takes a while because we also have the in-video resources and questions. So that's why it took a little bit. Now I can delete it again. So we have rows, and inside those rows, we have cells that are basically columns. If we add things to these columns, let's just add maybe a gallery, an image. Basically, the smaller the screen, these columns will appear one under the other. And that's why it's really useful in terms of responsive design and making sure that your students will be able to see your content regardless of their screen size and regardless of the device they're using. I'm just going to leave 2 cells here. And inside of these cells is where we actually add the resource. And you saw me, we had different cells, and we can add the resources by drag and dropping them from the content side straight to the lesson. So this is why we have different colored rectangles with different sort of properties, because whenever I click an element, I have different properties, and I can set the properties, colors, effects, and so on and so forth for each of these elements. And again, our in-video questions worked in the same way. We have a row in which we have a cell because it's just one, and inside of that cell, we have the resource. And in order to edit it, to go back to editing the resource, we double click it, and we're now in the video editing mode. And here we can change the video, add different keystones, go through all of these options. I'm really excited to show you what more we can do with, for instance, quizzes, because there are a lot of important features of quizzes that I'm really excited to talk about. I'm not sure if next time, but soon the video will be coming up, because maybe if you like sneak peeked a little bit, you could see that we have different types of quizzes, but there are also some really interesting and powerful features here in terms of properties. So if you want to play around with it, you'll see that you can do a lot of things, basically. I've sort of answered the questions that we've got because I've talked a little bit about how we add images and how we actually add content and sort of how this content is automatically resized and becomes responsive. If you have any other questions, I'm looking forward to answering these questions. I'm sorry that my camera wasn't working and that you couldn't see me, but I promise I'll get it fixed by next time. If that is all, thank you so much for joining me. It was really lovely explaining this to you. If you still have questions, if you're watching a recording of this either on YouTube or on Facebook, write them down in the comments and we'll get to you for sure. And in the meantime, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll be back here in 2 weeks' time, and we'll announce it again on Facebook. And if you want to know about these meetings, register for our newsletter on the LIVRESQ.com website, and you'll know in advance when they're happening and what we're going to be discussing. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.